Developing sense desire from competition to cooperation. In regard to sense desire, which is tied up with selfishness, when people develop the four divine abidings and their minds begin to radiate these qualities outward, their selfishness is reduced. They will not be exclusively caught up in trying to obtain things in order to seek personal gratification. Now, they also begin to consider the happiness of others. This wholesome desire, along with the happiness of seeing others possess attractive physical features, good health, contentment, etc., acts as a counterbalance to selfish impulses. The wish for others to be happy is a form of loving kindness, metta, a form of friendship, metta. The wish for them to be free from suffering is compassion, karuna. Sharing in happiness when others succeed is appreciative joy, mudita. And when others have the potential to make mistakes, one wishes for them to abide in righteousness and correctness. One thus adopts equanimity, upekkha, in order to safeguard and maintain the truth, the Dhamma. When people are endowed with these four qualities, their minds are radiant and expansive, deserving of the title Brahma, divine, elevated, sublime. The happiness will increase, and importantly, this happiness will be shared by others. If one simply remains at the level of sense desire, one's happiness will surely be competitive. If I win something, you must lose. If you must do without, or you must do without. If you seize something, I go without. If I derive happiness, he derives none, or else he suffers, and vice versa. In sum, one vies for happiness. One does not share one's happiness. This is one crucial disadvantage of sensual or material pleasure. The reason the world is so troubled, so full of oppression, brutality, and killing is because of this scramble for sense pleasure. As a response, people need to develop themselves in order to reduce the dangers of sense pleasure and increase blessings of higher forms of happiness. The happiness of the four divine abidings is shared. When others experience happiness, we too are happy. A mother is not happy until her children are happy. Once they are happy, she too is happy. This is a shared collective happiness. Here one has developed happiness to another level, to social happiness. One has graduated from a competitive form of happiness, where everyone simply fends for himself and vies for limited objects, to a shared collective happiness. This is also a crucial stage for ethics, helping to promote true peace in the world. The Buddha gave great emphasis to developing social happiness, especially in the context of the four divine abidings. The four divine abidings help in developing the quality of one's mind. But for real success, one needs to also practice the four bases of social solidarity, Sangha Watu, and the six virtues conducive to communal life, Satratniya Dhamma. Because the management of sense desire is linked to the development of social happiness, it needs to be included in this discussion. The Buddha encouraged people to manage sense desire in a correct, righteous fashion, free from harm. At the very least, one should minimize the dangers of sense desire and use it in positive, beneficial ways. The Buddha acknowledged that sense pleasure is a form of happiness. He went on to say that it has advantages at sadha and disadvantages at dinawa, and that there exists a way out, nitsarana, or a solution to sense pleasure, i.e. a way to escape from its disadvantages. Indeed, the escape from sense desire is precisely the development of higher forms of happiness, beginning with the development of social happiness. There is no problem here if one still delights in sense pleasure. Along with the restraint of keeping the 5 precepts, the cultivation of social happiness prevents people from getting overly caught up with themselves and from competing with others. Instead, there will be more mutual assistance and cooperation. At the same time, people will experience another form of happiness, which is more stable and enduring than sense pleasure. Many people are unaware that the habitual pursuit of personal gratification eventually leads to being more susceptible to suffering. And this susceptibility to suffering fosters an inclination to suffer. Let us return to the subject of shared happiness. To begin with, when one sees others happy and well, one shares in their happiness, a feeling which is referred to as loving kindness metta. Next, one wishes for others to be free from suffering and cured from illness, and one shares in their happiness when they escape from these problems. This is referred to as compassion, karuna. Compassion has other additional benefits. Imagine that one falls ill and experiences great discomfort. If one is preoccupied with one's own problems, thinking, why must this happen to me? The suffering will be even more intense. Some may even think, let others suffer from this disease instead. Why does it have to be me? These kinds of thoughts only increase the suffering. If one is endowed with compassion when facing illness, one will not brood over one's own problems. Rather, one will consider other human beings, thinking, here I am faced with this illness and experiencing great discomfort. Yet there are other people in the world who are poor and destitute, who have no friends or relatives, who have no money to buy medicine or nurses to care for them. What must it be like for them? Yes, it's true that I am very ill, but I have friends and relatives to care for me and doctors who are attending on me. At least I have adequate food and shelter. Think of the suffering for those people who are ill and who lack all these things. By thinking in this way, the severity of one's own illness is reduced. The fact that one is sick will lessen in importance. It may even happen that one does not feel the discomfort any longer. When one is able to further develop compassionate thoughts, one's illness becomes a reminder. One thinks, were I not to have this illness, I probably would have forgotten to take into consideration those other people who suffer from illness. Now that I am reminded, how can I offer them assistance? This is how illness reminds us to help those numerous people who are destitute and hard-pressed, who have no friends or relatives or people to care for them. They need our help to be freed from affliction. Illness is an impetus for compassion, besides spurring us to look for ways to help others. Our own suffering will be abated and sometimes even disappear. One's own illness will lose its significance. The divine abidings, the divine abidings are vital. They do not simply remain as passive emotions in the mind, but actively bear fruit in far-reaching ways. The Buddha stressed their cultivation, and the source or root of this spiritual development is wholesome desire, chanda. In this chapter, the focus has been on wholesome desire in a social context, as one way of describing the importance of the spiritual factor. Besides teaching people how to manage sense desire, which has the potential to create intense suffering, one also needs to encourage people to develop social happiness by having them cultivate wholesome desire and respect to others through kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. In this way, people will share their happiness with others, and they will be impelled to offer mutual assistance. At the very least, it will help to offset and reduce the harmful effects of sense desire.